Hey guys, God bless. How are you? So, I read a prophecy the other day and I was very disturbed by it. And it immediately spoke to my spirit. And as I sat and I kind of pondered it and thought about it in my mind and all the things that are going on, I was just more and more troubled by it. Finally, I sat down and I believe the Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, go look at Matthew 24:5. And I went to Matthew 24:5 and I said, okay, yeah, we've all seen this. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. So true, okay, and we all know the weirdos, for lack of better words, I guess, out there that have claimed to be the Christ. But does this mean something deeper? So let's just take a look here. So again, these are the people, according to Wikipedia, of who claim to be Christ. You can read about them. Guys, I'm not going to go through them. But they're all here. And you think about it, and did they deceive many? No, they deceived a few. Look at this guy's following. Uh, Deceiving people, yes. But anyone with ounce of faith is able to kind of look through all this and be like, here's Jesus staying in a hotel. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah, it's kind of a joke anyway. And, you can see through this lie pretty simply. What I'm wondering if there's something a little bit more devious going on and a little bit more intuitive with, I guess, deception. And what I want to show you is what I believe the Holy Spirit has showed me, and with this verse, okay? Very simple verse. It's very straightforward, very simple. I started to look at the concordance, and I started to kind of look at things, and as I could feel the Holy Spirit say was, I am with the Christ, and I'm sorry, but for many shall come in with my name, saying, I am with the Christ, and shall deceive many. It's kind of how I was listening to the Holy Spirit say it. And I went to the Strong's Concordance, and I started looking at things in Strong's to see if there was any clue to that. So I looked at it, and there's nothing conclusive here, okay? But there is some subtleties, I guess. So shall come in my name, shall besides my name, have charge with my name, upon my name, the direction of my name. So there's different ways that this can be interpreted. Again, nothing over the top, me, my own, my name, my own. And you get over here to am, which is emai, and you have nothing really conclusive here, but it says to be or exist, to happen to be present with Christ. I didn't see anything jump out at me, but then the Holy Spirit led me to a study I did a long time ago. And it made sense at this point. So we're going to go to Ezra and talk about chapter 4 in Ezra. And so when I was doing the study of the two witnesses, I was led to this chapter. So we're going to back up a little bit into verse 3 and talk about Zerubbabel and Jeshua. Remember, I've always said these two are a picture of the two witnesses. They are a perfect representation of the two witnesses, Jeshua and Zerubbabel. And they are going to build an altar and start building the temple of God in Jerusalem. They were released from Babylon along with a remnant, we'll get into that here in a minute, to go and do this task. So as they are going forward with God's plan, and they start to head and do this task and be the builders and lay the foundation of the temple, they, this kind of goes into the Great Shout, so again, I'm just kind of skimming here, but what has happened essentially is the temple of God is us. He dwells in us, his people. Okay, so what has happened is, and if you look at this in modern terms, without the construction portion here, of stones, building, etc., everything else, it's the church is not built on a solid foundation. The church right now is built on a very, very shaky foundation. They don't have knowledge of prophecy. They don't have knowledge of things to come. They don't have knowledge of tying in the Old Testament with the New. They don't have knowledge of, what was even the purpose of the Old Testament. They have no knowledge. And to help them rebuild this temple, to rebuild them on a proper foundation so that they can endure, so that they can survive the trial, so that they can get through what they're going to be going through, God appointed these two witnesses and the remnant to lead these people and rebuild this temple. In other words, it's going to be a rebuilding of the people on the proper foundation of God, on the proper Word of God, the complete Word of God. And so that's what's going on here. And they're putting the stones into place. The stones were laid. People gave a great shout. They praised the Lord. This great shout probably coincides with, some sort of event that's going to happen here on earth, where the eyes will be opened and the ears will be unstopped, and there'll be, because you got shouts of joy and noise of weeping. So everything's going on. But when you get to verse 4, and I hope I painted a good enough picture of what's going on here, but they are rebuilding the people of God, the proper foundation, the proper house of God. Okay? Anyway, all right. So when the adversaries come, all right, the adversaries came and heard that the children of captivity were building the temple of the Lord. Okay? This is what they said. Let us build with you, for we seek your God as you do. And we do sacrifice unto him since the days of Esarhaddon, king of Ashur. Okay? Esarhaddon, by the way, means interference. Interference. These people are subtly coming to Joshua, Zerubbabel, and the remnant to frustrate their purpose, their work. Okay? So now you have this interruption going on that the people of God are probably seeing and experiencing and questioning, well, what's really going on here? Real quick, I wanted to back up to chapter 3. This is just showing that there is a remnant. So you have Zerubbabel, you have Jeshua, and the remnant of their brothers. Okay? All right, so anyway, back down here. So we have these adversaries coming. These adversaries say that they are seeking, that they seek the same God as they do. Okay? They come in the name of the Lord. They come in the name of Jesus. All right? Esarhaddon again, interference. So this subtlety escalates here later on. But Zerubbabel and Joshua say to them, you have nothing to do with us to build a house unto our God, but we ourselves together will build it unto the Lord God of Israel. In other words, we don't want nothing to do with what you're saying. We're going to go do our own thing and build our own house unto the Lord, as we've been commanded to do. Okay? And so it gets a little bit more nasty. People in the land weaken hands, and they hired counselors to frustrate their purpose. Okay? And this goes on and on from here. They end up calling them rebellious and everything else. This is the subtlety that really had me going when I read this prophecy. So let's take a look at the prophecy. All right? So the prophecy came from End Time Headlines, which I highly respect. Get a lot of news from here. And, got nothing against this channel whatsoever at all. And this is the prophetic dream. Okay? It comes from Charisma News out of Lake Mary, Florida. Okay? If you click on this continue link, it spins and spins. It's no longer there, or I don't know what happened to it. Maybe it was taken down. I don't know. But it was up there a couple days ago. So I believe the guy who had this dream is Jeremiah Johnson. It comes from Jeremiah. Okay? But let's take a look at it. Prophetic dream, Donald Trump, Justin Bieber, and Kanye West to be God's wrecking balls. Meet Donald Trump, Justin Bieber, Kanye West, 3 men anointed by God himself, who are shaping and will shape and shift the political and religious landscape of America in the days ahead. I know these guys, ? Have you lost your mind, Jeremiah? No. but I did have a prophetic dream and encounter on September 15th that has convinced me beyond my own opinions and beliefs that God has chosen these three men to be incredible wrecking balls to America, religious and political beliefs and ideologies. In the dream, I joined thousands in the audiences as Donald Trump and Kanye West took the stage and began to share about their faith. It was raw, it was infantile, and they said some things you would never hear at a traditional church service. As they shared, I was intrigued because half the crowd appeared saved, but they were literally manifesting demons. They shouted, pointed their fingers, and accused. They did not believe that these men were in any way qualified to speak for or about God. They demanded these men to be much more spiritual and articulate concerning spiritual matters, and they were actually capable of. The other half of the crowd that gathered deeply touched and was moved to tears. It was stunning. Okay, so first off, I have nothing against any of these guys. I hope and pray that God will save their souls. What I do want to talk about is a little bit of fruit, okay? Now, we're going to start with Donald Trump. So the problem we have is this nation has no humility. And that's a reflection of the leader, okay? He's responsible for what this country should be doing, the direction it's taken. By instilling all of this, okay, and going along with all this and instilling this, what has happened is the quote-unquote people of God who don't read the Bible but want America to be great, where guns, Bible, America, rock and roll, American Pie, all that stuff are drawn to this, okay? Meanwhile, on the flip side of this, you have the liberals saying, if this is what a Christian is, I can't stand them, and I don't want nothing to do with them. Both sides, guys, are playing each other, okay? But regardless, just listen to me for a second. So you have the liberals on the other side of the fence, and we'll say that, there's some liberals that don't agree with abortion or, gay marriage, but they're for the nature, whatever. They're looking at us, the Christians, thinking, if this is what God's all about, and being a Christian is all about, then I want nothing to do with that. And I don't blame them. Then you have on the flip side, the Christians that are drawn to him that know nothing about humility. God resists the proud and will speak to the humble. It's that simple. And that's the problem we're facing right here. Humility is where we need to be. If he was a true Christian, and everyone has talked about, well, he's a baby Christian, this and that. Well, if you've had a true convergence and a true change of heart and a true new creation that you should have become in your experience, then you shouldn't be on milk for very long, okay? And grasp the humility and gain understanding through God on what he wants you to do and where you should be leading the nation versus bolstering this attitude. This is the attitude he's bolstering. And so that's the problem.
Do it like me. Nobody. Nobody can do it like me. Honestly.
Nobody's stronger than me.
Nobody has better toys than I do.
There's nobody bigger or better at the military than I am.
Nobody loves the Bible more than I do.
Nobody builds walls better than me.
Nobody's better to people with disabilities than me.
Nobody's fighting for the veterans like I'm fighting for the veterans.
There's nobody that's done so much for equality as I have.
There's nobody more pro-Israel than I am. There's nobody more conservative than me. There's nobody that respects women more than I do.
Nobody would be tougher on ISIS than Donald Trump.
There's nobody's ever had crowds like Trump has had.
There's nobody that understands the horror of nuclear better than me. And nobody even understands it but me. It's called devaluation, the sale of the uranium that nobody knows what it means. I know what it means.
Nobody knows more about trade than me.
Nobody knows the game better than I do.
Nobody in the history of this country has ever known so much about infrastructure as Donald Trump. I know the H-1B. I know the H-2B. Nobody knows it better than me.
Nobody knows politicians better than I do.
Nobody knows more about taxes than I do. Nobody knows more about debt than I do.
Nobody knows the system better than me, which is why I alone can fix it.
Nobody can do it like
Now-
me. Nobody can do it like me.
Don't get me wrong. Okay, the guy has done a purpose. He's exposed the deep state. There's no doubt about that. And he's got a lot of people questioning like what's going on in the government. The problem is the direction those people are taking is back to guns, back to resistance, back to fighting, take the country by force again, and thus that's going to generate a civil war. Okay? So the direction that is pushing them is the wrong one. It should have them digging in their Bible. It should have them on their knees like, hey, what's really going on? Are we in the end times? Lord, call on out to the Lord. Let me ask him what's going on. Will you confirm these things that he's saying? Pedophilia, deep state, human trafficking, adrenochrome. Will you show me, Lord, where this is true? The problem is what he's generating is resistance to the left. Resistance to the left. And we are bitter, we are badder, we have guns, you don't, we're going to fight, you will lose attitude. And that's what's festering. That's what's going on. So Kanye West has come out with a church here in Atlanta and has talked about Sunday services, has talked about Jesus and worship. I'm going to show you a quick video on him too. But what amazes me is this. There's no one probably more in the know in Hollywood about the Illuminati than Kanye West. And if you are a true convert, what should be your hallmark calling? Is to probably to expose the wickedness and the darkness of that, correct? Maybe, maybe not. But just for example, you have this guy here, Mr. Rodriguez, who's a former Satanist, who, I don't know if he's got his own channel or not, but he is all over YouTube discussing Halloween, discussing Satan, the devices of the enemy, all these different things, and exposing, hey, this is what's going on. This is what a pumpkin is. This is what a gourd is. This is what, Halloween means, okay? And he's exposing this darkness, and he's coming out and being a tool that Christ is using. You have others. I have them on my channel. All these people. John Todd, Doc Marquise, William Schlobenden, Ronald Bernard, Carolyn Hamlet, a dozen others. This lady worked for, the Air Force with chemtrails, holistic doctors being murdered, GMOs. All these people have come out. This current chemotherapy, this doctor here. All these people are coming out and exposing the plans of the enemy. And we don't see that with Kanye West. So, again, you have all these celebrities. They all wear crosses. They all want to be on the team. They're all portraying this. They are the adversaries. These are the ones I think that the Holy Spirit was telling me about. Many will come in my name and shall deceive many. Because if these guys are wearing crosses and doing all this, then, just like the sheep we are, Hollywood, we will follow Hollywood exactly with what they do. Because we don't read our Bibles, we rely on people to tell us what to do. So all these things are a deception, a great deception. And I believe this is going to be part of it. So I'm going to play this video here. This is from EX Ministries. And just take a listen. He does a tremendous job here.
Has he started a church, or what's going on? Because I see that there's a church now that he's going to.
Yeah, we didn't really have a name for it because it's more of just a healing experience.
It's really uplifting and you feel excellent. We have so many friends that
maybe feel a little too judgmental when they go to church.
To pray to Kanye or to God at this church?
There's no praying, there's no sermon, there's no word, it's just music and it's just a feeling.
Oh,
it's Christian.
It is.
See, honestly, they always got to put that label on it. It's Christian. It's Christian. You know, it's... People ask me sometimes, well, what church you go to? I'm like, I go to the truth. I find the truth through God's holy word. That's the church I go to.
What do y'all think? Did that look like the eye of horrors or no?
Somebody's saying nothing that created was coincidental. That's something.
Okay, so let's talk about that. They didn't make that without something. This is what I'm saying. This is why it wasn't intentional. Because I know what the original design was. The original design, the part wasn't even supposed to be set up like that.
Could it be that Kanye's intentions are pure, but other people are not?
Boom. That's a possibility. That's why we got filled. He did.
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something? Last week somebody told me, how dare you make a positive reference to that rapper Nipsey Hussle? Did you listen to his music? Pastor, I know he did great works, but he cussed. How dare you say something positive? He cussed. I said, I cussed.
I accept my worship, my way, and I grow in power. The choice is yours. Evolve or die.
Why is the standard so low for this generation? When a guy like Nipsey Hussle can become an icon, the standards are very low. He was a modern-day Nino Brown who lived the lifestyle of a gangster, got rich rapping about murder, sex, and drugs. Yet because he gave back to his community, he is lifted up as a role model for this generation. But the man who works a job every day and provides for his wife and family is not celebrated anymore and even deemed unnecessary by our feministic society. What happened to our world? Well, give me a few minutes and I'll tell you. Remember the story of the Pied Piper? How he was able to lure the town's children away from their parents with his music? Well, the same thing has happened in our communities. Music has totally lured this generation away from what is really important in this life. Their hearts are filled with covetousness and desire to be noticed instead of self-denial and truly caring for others. They have no interest in God's church and no respect for God's chosen leaders. How can they respect pastors or teachers when they have no respect for their own fathers? Churches are losing their youth in droves because they are turning to false gods, false ideologies, and false doctrines, trying to find true purpose and worth. Because their fathers abandoned them and did not show them who they were, they are now Googling and searching YouTube to find out who they are. They are adopting racist beliefs, false scientific studies, and erroneous stories that denounce Christ and the Bible altogether while trusting the elitist internet answers, which are mostly skewed and agenda-oriented. They want nothing to do with Christianity because the ones that neglect it and abandon them name the name of Christ in the process. So while the parents were in church, focused on themselves, children were in search of another way because they hated the way Christians made them feel. While the parents were using church as a place to show off and be lifted up, hip-hop had the attention of their children. While the church was building large facilities and adopting society's parenting norms, hip-hop had their children. What we are seeing now is a result of years of planning by the devil. Look, I traveled the world for 20 years warning the church that this day would come, but so many ignored the message because they deemed the loss of the youth as normal. Well, here we are. Kanye West is redefining church, and your kids want his vision. Church with no preaching, church with no conviction, church with no standard, church without God's Spirit. a form of godliness with no power to change anyone. Kanye is the Pied Piper. He got fame from producing the song Lucifer for Jay-Z, and now he is emulating Lucifer. He refers to himself as a god in many of his songs, and he has even mocked the crucifixion of Christ. Kanye's soul is sold to the devil in his video drama Runaway, and even manifested a demon at the end of his song, I Am God. He even joined with French Montana to combine the Bible with the Quran on a song collaboration. He uses vile language, promotes sex and lust and all kinds of hedonism in his music, and yet on Sunday he is leading worship in the name of the Lord. Lucifer in heaven desired to be lifted up in Isaiah 14:11 with his musical ability higher than God's word. And now Kanye is establishing the same thing, church without preaching. Now, God established the church to teach, not entertain. But with a music-only church, you can be unrepentant, unbelieving, uncalled, with no self-denial. Kurt Franklin initiated this concept by promoting the loss of his religion, performing with Kanye and Chance the Rapper, basically giving them the green light to proceed, never challenging their lyrical content, their lifestyles, or behavior, nor their desire for fame, but instead he exonerated them and pushed their agenda. Because the church was asleep, the Pied Piper came in and got their children. Kanye even assembled the members of his church-like group into the shape of the Eye of Horus, or third eye, covertly giving honor to his god, the god of self, Lucifer. No doubt Kanye is confused and misguided. His wife, Kim, even praises his church idea and stated that this is the way church should be. No preaching, no judgment, just music and good feelings. Wow, how things have changed in our world. But it's time for the true preachers of the gospel to take a stand. Not against Kanye, but a stand for their homes and their own children and their churches. It's time to stop the campaign for positions, the chasing of titles and fame, and the desire to be wealthy at the expense of compromise. Pastors, if you do not heed this warning, God will judge you and your church, and you will pay dearly for your defiance. It's time to repent and go back to your first love, Jesus and feeding his sheep.
Well, guys, I am going to close with that, and I think that this would be beneficial. I'm going to go ahead and put this word up here and go through it real quick. This I got from a friend on Facebook, Peter Christian, and I'm just going to go through it. The Lord spoke this prophetic rhema word to me, Charles Newbold. Now, Peter must have got it from Charles, so I'm not sure. This should be a major wake-up call to the religious people. I counsel you by the Holy Spirit of God to first read Jeremiah 51 before you go any further. I called upon the name of the Lord. Lord, who shall ascend to the high mountain of our God and King? And he answered, who is broken and contrite, who humbles himself in my presence? He who is the one shall ascend to my holy hill. And I called again and asked, Lord, how does one humble himself? Man is so full of pride. He said, and I quote, he who humbles himself is he who recognizes his pride and breaks before me. I will see him. I will come to him. I will break his heart. He will keep and mourn, for he will know that he is a man of unclean lips. I will see him, and then I will lift him up. But if he lifts himself up, I will let him fall again. I asked him, Lord, where do we go from here? And he answered, where do you want to go? Whatever's in your heart, that is where you will go. If it is in your heart to follow after me, then we will walk together and abide in deeper and richer things. We will go from glory to glory, from faith to faith. Yes, we will ascend and ascend, every round going higher and higher. This, my son, is a place in me. I am Mount Zion. I am my holy hill. When I say, come unto me, I am calling you up to my high hill. If, on the other hand, it is in your heart to go back down to Babylon or Egypt, then you will go there. The rewards of Babylon will be there, and the jewels of Egypt will be yours. Only do not trust them, for they cannot save you. And in that hour when I come in all my glory, do not try to ransom your soul with them. They will be vile to me, and I will cast them away from you. I will strip you naked and leave you in your shame. There is no glory in Babylon, and there is glory in Babylon, and there are riches in Egypt, but they will go down to the pit, for from the pit is where they have ascended. They are of the flesh and appeal to the flesh. Do not touch them, do not go after them, for surely they shall be yours if you like. Lord, I inquired, is this the great deception? Isn't Babylon and Egypt? There has never been a greater deception than this, he answered, and I shuddered at the thought of this. So great is this deception, he explained, that men go down to Babylon, adorn themselves in religion and piety, and truly believe that they have come unto me, that they are shaken to anger at the suggestion that this is their Babylon, that it is not of me and I am not there. And Egypt, what can I say to my son of Egypt? He too is beautiful and rich, and dwells in all the houses, and owns lands, and buys and trades and sells in the marketplace. The prosperity abounds, and so does the deception, for in their riches they live, and move, and have their being. But where their riches get them, and what will you buy with them when I come? I will look to the poor man in the eye, and see from whence his hunger came. I will look at the rich man in the eye, and ask him from where came his satisfaction, and he will be lifted up in his heart, and he will show me all the things in his barns, and say, My Lord, all of that is mine. I will turn again to the poor man, and I will ask him from whence came your poverty, and he will point to the rich man's barn and say, My Lord, from all that is his. From whence comes your satisfaction? The poor man will bow and say, O my Lord, from you, my Lord, from you. I said, Lord, speak plainly, and what is Babylon, and what is Egypt? He answered and said, Babylon is all that the carnal mind devises. It is the pride and the arrogance and the haughtiness of man, who exalts his own knowledge above the knowledge of God. As for Egypt, this is the flesh and all the lust thereof. Can you not see, my son, how the carnal mind has deceived his own plan with all its traditions, and labeled it church? For generations men thought this was of me and for me, but it is not so. This is the harlot, the woman who sits on many waters, who pretends allegiance to me, but she is widowed. She is not my bride. Her deception is great. She has attained for herself the riches of the world. She has lavished herself in fine buildings that she calls temples and cathedrals and synagogues and churches. She has dressed herself in royal robes, which she wove by her own hands. The linen I give is righteousness, which has been purchased by my blood. She has acquired great riches with bank accounts and investments, and have been bound to her by these things. She has purchased these things by the blood of the martyrs. Everywhere you look, you can see the harlot. She's everywhere. She's in men's hearts. Men go after her. She loves it. She is not married, but she has taken on herself many lovers. She is defiled, and those who sleep with her are defiled. Mercy and peace are with those who have the eyes and ears to hear. When the trumpet sounds, and the call goes forth, come out of her, my people, come out. The road to Zion is paved in humility. Lord, I cried, it's so hard to say. Why is it so hard for me to say it plainly? Why is it so hard for you to say plainly? He answered, because the deception is so great. Christianity is a religion, and religious men are caught in its web. Who can hear me, said the Lord, or who can hear my prophets when it is said Christianity is that a religious system is a false religion? Who can understand when I declare that all religion is false? The greatest deception of all is for men to come to it in my name, thinking they have come to me, and I am not in it. I am not religion. I am the living and true God. I require that men come unto me and renounce all religion. But who can hear? Religion has boundaries. I am boundless. It has laws and rules and regulations. I offer grace and love and peace. Religion binds men. I free them. Religion suppresses men. I call them to ascend into the heavenlies. Religion restrains and controls. I release. Religion requires obedience to it. I require obedience to me. Yes, obedience is far better than sacrifice. I loathe religion and religious men. They are dangerous and spread the deception to innocent hearts. Lord, you have spoken plainly, so where shall they go when they come out of Babylon? And he answered simply, to Jesus. Ascend, my holy ones, ascend into the heavenlies. Sit at my right hand and at my left. I will show you mysteries. I will show you great and glorious things. You are my witnesses, my two witnesses. One is on my right, and the other is on my left. My left is grace and mercy and peace. On my right is righteousness, justice, and wrath. I'm a two-edged sword. My sword goes forth out of my mouth. It divides the righteous from the unrighteous. It is sharp and quick and sure. Behold, I am dividing right from wrong. I am making straight the path. I am exalting valleys. I am moving mountains. The high will be made low, and the low will be made high. If you cannot understand this, the man of sin will let him go down into his house, shut his door, weep and mourn, for surely pity shall come upon his house. How shall they come out of Babylon? I asked the Lord. They shall come out by coming to me. Simply leave. The door is open. The way is made clear. The prophets have gone before. Do not look back. Do not go back. Simply leave. And when they criticize you and call you blasphemous names, let your head be as flint. Be silent. Be at peace. Love them. Turn the other cheek, for they so persecuted your fathers before you. Do not look back. Do not do anything. Do not say anything. Simply leave. Say in your heart, I have left Babylon, and I have ascended to the hill of my God. I have come out of Mount Zion to Jesus, the author and finisher of my faith. You cannot take Zion down to Babylon. You have to come out of her. You cannot sing Zion's songs in Babylon. They can only be sung in Zion. Zion is the place in the spirit where Jesus is the only thing there is. As I'm going to let it go with that. There's quite a bit left, but I'll let you read the rest on your own. It talks about the churches and continues on. It's very, very eye-opening. I'll put it in the description box for a link that you can go to and read it yourself. God bless you guys. Take care.